Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead, DeVries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Dennis Tzeng.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk. It's Friday and you can't tell from here in this panel because you always see 4 people, or actually 6 people total, but it's a ghost town here. It's a ghost town. You have
Yes.
Christian and having babies. Yeah, Makuga getting married. Everyone's at, like, a bunch of people already left for his wedding.
Yeah.
It's very quiet here. It's very unusual.
Also here is Perri Nemiroff.
You mean there's important real-world things going on in people's lives?
I don't know why they take time out of their lives to do these things.
How dare they?
I know, babies and marriage.
But really, I am very happy for them both. And early congratulations to Makuga and to Christian as well, and the whole family.
Also here is John Rocha.
I don't believe in it. Marriages, kids. That's why I work. That's what I believe in. Work, jobs. No, I'm joking. Listen, congratulations to the man, Christian Harloff. I wish it had been Leia Harloff. He tried. I know he tried. But, you know, when the mom says no, it's no. So, but congratulations to him, and early congratulations to Josh Makuga as well. Go get him. Go get him, wild man. Go get him, domesticated man. Go get him.
I don't believe in kids either. Also here is David Griffin.
I want to see Rocha do a toast at Makuga's wedding.
Sure, if he'd invited me, I would have.
He'd probably yell at him the whole time.
Yeah.
Probably yell at him.
I pulled out the beer pong and been like, and another thing about this, Makuga.
All right. What's up first?
Paramount announced that J.J. Abrams and Oscar-nominated Arrival Scribe Eric Heisserer are in development on a live-action version of the animated Japanese film Your Name. Abrams will produce through his Bad Robot Productions, with Heisserer writing, in a story that follows a teenage boy and girl from different backgrounds who discover they can swap bodies. The original Your Name is the highest-grossing anime film of all time at the worldwide box office, having performed incredibly well in both Japan and China. A release date or director for the retelling have not been announced at this time. Dennis, what are your thoughts on J.J. Abrams producing a Your Name live-action movie?
It's interesting, especially, that last part of it doing very well in Japan and China, because now movies are greenlit more for what they can do internationally than just domestically, because here, Your Name is not a well-known property. I actually watched I haven't seen the film, but I went to watch the trailer for the animated version, and I didn't see the appeal from that trailer. I'm guessing the movie is probably much deeper and much more entertaining than this trailer. But the trailer alone just looks like there's a body swap and they fall in love, and that's it. But I can see why they're going to do it, just because based on the popularity alone. Perri, you have seen Your Name. You know that it's actually much more than what that trailer I saw, right?
It's interesting because I've seen the movie, but not the trailer. And really, all I knew about the movie going into it was that it was a body swap story. So when I got what I got in the actual plot of the film, and there were so many really thoughtful twists and turns, I was pleasantly surprised. And it's a great movie, and it's really got everything, where it's that appeal of seeing a body swap scenario play out, the whole fish out of water idea. There's a lot of great comedy. There's so much great heart. The part that has me nervous is that there's a lot of really great moments where you learn about Japanese culture in this movie, and I have a hard time imagining J.J. Abrams adapting this to live action and not bringing it to the States, and that could cause a big problem. It's also a problem where this movie is a recent hit and we're already remaking it. I wish that we could pump the brakes on that and say, hey, why don't you go watch this great movie that just came out, rather than saying, oh, that made a ton of money there, it made a little money in the States, maybe we should capitalize on that. So I don't know. For all I know, there's a lot of opportunity in a story like this, especially when you create maybe 2 slightly different characters in a different country. There still is a chance you could do something special with it. It's just, I wish we could. It's the same thing when we were talking about A Man Called Ove the other day. I just wish that we could appreciate the movies that exist first before we start overshadowing them with remakes that might not live up to the original, and then completely make people forget about that great original. So if he's going to do this, and he's going to do it soon, I really hope he does it well, because this is a movie that deserves it.
Yeah, and this movie, I think, is the highest grossing animated film, or Japanese animated film, and it made more than Spirited Away. Roko, what do you think? Is this a good idea? And how worried are you about the translation from the original Japanese version to the American one?
Well, I mean, we've been hearing a lot about the whitewashing that's been going on, with what happened with Ghost in the Shell, what happened with Death Note recently. This seems like a weird time to do this, and because they're going to come in and obviously adapt it to the American market. And Perri, you make great points about we should let these films breathe, but the reality is in America, it's really, really rare for a foreign film to hit top of the box office and come over and be like the #1 film for weeks and weeks like we have when we make our films from our country. So it's just rare. So they want to adopt these things. My concern, there's a lot hidden here: body swapping, time jumps, shrines, people dying, comets. There's all kinds of things involved here that'll keep your attention. And J.J. Abrams, go to Super 8, go to all these, go to the Cloverfield stuff that he produces. Like, he has an ability to create these sci-fi films that have heart in them and that have good, interesting relationships in them. So I think he's the right guy to do this. So I would be excited to see what he does with it. But just walking that line, because once again, you're essentially whitewashing the film and starting over again. I imagine that's what they're going to do.
We don't know if they're doing that now. We're just speculating.
I don't understand the point. I don't understand the redoing it and then casting Japanese again. And we see that happening. And we see that happen in other, and they just don't do it because I think what you said earlier, Dennis, is right. Like, or Perri, whoever said, like, what is his real intrinsic knowledge of the Japanese culture to bring this to life? You need someone who really understands where this story comes from, how deep it comes in their culture with the idea of the shrine and all these things, and their relationships with the family and the parents, all of this coming through. You need someone who understands that. And I don't know if JJ is the guy, but I know visually and story-wise, he could probably do a great job with it.
David?
I don't know. I always just worry about Japanese animation coming over to the States because I just feel like it loses so much context. I mean, I feel like I've probably said this before on Movie Talk. I feel like growing up watching Japanese animation when I first would watch something like Akira or a Ghost in the Shell, I'd be like, well, I don't understand like what does this mean? Like this whole post-atomic Japanese world, like with these big like massive explosions and extinction, and like it's like this whole thing. I wasn't raised in Japan. I was born in Virginia, so I don't understand that. But I feel like I learned so much about Japanese culture through Japanese animation. Whether like now you're watching My Hero Academia on Hulu or Attack on Titan, like I don't want to see an American version of that because I feel like you lose so much of what makes those shows special and interesting because they're coming from Japanese culture, and I don't think an American version is probably going to tone everything down. It's not going to be as interesting. Now, of course, I'm judging this before the movie's even made, so JJ can make some compelling films. So hopefully he can do that with this property. But I would just rather, like Perri said, I'd rather just see the Japanese version. But we do live in a world, like you said, Rocha, where if something's big, it's making money. They're going to try to make money here, too. It's too bad. But I'd rather see the Japanese version than see the American version.
Wendy, have you seen this film?
I have not. It was on my watch list, and I was gonna watch it last night, but I got too tired. But I agree with what David said. Is I grew up watching all these animes, so when they remake it into like the American version, it doesn't always translate quite right. Like that's kind of the problem I had with even sometimes with like the English dubbed versions of the animes. It's just not quite right. And I'm not saying that the voice actors aren't doing their job correctly. It's just there's something about where it originates from Japan and it's by a Japanese writer and Japanese voice talent, it just somehow all works together better for me.
All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is a very interesting discussion we're going to have. We have actually the top 56 animated movies from Disney. This is actually an article written by Drew Taylor on the website that you can go check out now. We're not going to talk about all 56 of them.
What?
Yeah. Roko wants to go line by line. But we're going to discuss what was in there, what we were surprised by. We actually are going to be working on our own type of list videos, not for this particular subject, but for another topic. And you'll see hints and previews about that in the future. But let's talk about this list right now. We have a lot of interesting things. Perri, what stood out to you in this top 56? I think the 56 comes from, these are all the animated movies from Disney.
Yeah.
Not Pixar,
Yeah.
but just from Disney.
For Disney animation. One of the interesting things about this list to me at first was that as I was scrolling through it, And I was just, sitting there having my knee-jerk reaction to seeing what numbers everything fell at without even reading the paragraph and the explanation for why he put it there. I was funny how strongly I responded to how low some of the more modern movies are, which in a way is strange but also exciting that we have this company that's making classics that have, changed kids growing up for generations now, and we're still getting movies from them that have that same effect. I mean, the ones that stood out to me were Big Hero 6 and Zootopia and Wreck-It Ralph all being in the high 20s, just like 29 for Wreck-It Ralph, 27 for Big Hero 6, 25 for Zootopia. And those were movies that I love, and since those have come out, I've watched them over and over, and then I was trying to figure out, okay, well, if I want those higher on the list, what am I gonna bump down? And then all of a sudden you get higher on the list, and then you get those classics. You get Snow White and Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, and you're just like, oh, shit, like, what do? I can't move everything. But then it had me thinking, what would I make my top 5? And really, for me, what it always comes down to with scores, with ranking my top 10 of the year, with ranking my top movies of all time is just what moves me and what makes me feel something. No matter if it's sad, if it's happy, if it's just pure entertainment. Those movies that when I think about them, I want to jump back into whatever that world is and experience it again. And I came down to Lion King, Aladdin, Frozen, Peter Pan, and Beauty and the Beast. Those are movies that are they're timeless. I can watch them over and over. Thinking about them makes me happy, and that would be my top 5.
Okay, one that I'll point out on this list is a movie I actually like very much. I just think it's ranked very highly on this list is Moana.
I knew you were going there.
At number 9. Yep. At number 9, Rocha.
Moana.
Well, what do you think about Moana at number 9 on this list?
I think it's still too soon for us to rank it that high.
Yeah.
I think we have to wait a little bit of time to appreciate the film. I love the film. Everybody knows I'm a Dwayne Johnson fan. He's fantastic in the film. The actress who plays Moana is amazing. The songs are memorable, and it's a really great attempt to bring that culture to life by Disney, and I loved it. But we need more time. We need more time to appreciate it, to put it that high at number 9. And I understand Drew's logic. Sometimes Drew's logic is a bit kind of like moving around and a bit all over the place, in my opinion. For example, what he says, you can't put Hunchback that high for taking chances and having a tone that is serious and sometimes too comical, and then put Pocahontas that low because it also took chances and had a tone that is serious and sometimes too comical. Like, what's the actual logic? And of course, this is all subjective.
Yes.
And so for me, honestly, my issues are Tangled at 31. Tangled is a top 10 film. Top 10 Disney
I
film.
like Tangled a lot more than Frozen.
Just from top to bottom. Yes, absolutely. Frozen, I don't think belongs in the maybe top 20 tops. And it's got a great message, but story-wise, it's kind of simple. And so but Tangled, there's more. To do Rapunzel that way, I think is fantastic. Wreck-It Ralph at 29. Drew, respect for doing this list. I know it must not have been easy, but we're going to have to meet out in the parking lot for Wreck-It Ralph to be 29.
Poor Drew.
Wreck-It Ralph is fantastic. It is the one. It is the one for me. I don't put it in top 10. I would love to, but it doesn't merit. But certainly top 20. It is not top 20. It's not 29.
It's number 29
right.
on the list.
And in no world is Hunchback of Notre Dame I think it's higher.
It's 11.
11. Higher than Aladdin, Hercules, or
Nope.
Tarzan. And no way is Princess and the Frog in the top 20.
Oh my gosh!
No. We gotta talk about that.
down
We gotta talk about that one.
I
We gotta talk about that one.
I
No,
challenge
literally
anyone-
everything
slow
you
down.
just said,
Yeah.
everything you just said,
Yeah.
I wrote down.
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog at number 15.
Yeah. I challenge
It's a
anyone.
crime.
That doesn't even deserve to be in the top 50. That needs to be kicked out.
Anyone
Top
listening right
50.
now to sing any song from that movie for me. I challenge you. You can't.
Yeah, who's
You are
talking
almost
about?
as red as your shirt right now.
matters.
Who's talking about Princess and the Frog?
That's what I'm saying. No
Almost
way. But I would say I agree with Perri. I think Aladdin. I think Beauty and the Beast is number 1. I think Lion King. I think Pinocchio, Aladdin, and Peter Pan. Those are my top 5. Absolutely. And I think because those are timeless and classics. Snow White and Sleeping Beauty are kind of boring, and they have comical moments. Sleeping Beauty has comical moments, but they're kind of boring. But they're technical achievements for what they came in that time. And Bambi also belongs in the top 10 for that ability
we
to
have
animate
Bambi
animals.
at number 4, Sleeping
Yeah.
Beauty at number 2. The number 1 movie is Pinocchio on
Pinocchio.
Drew's list.
Yeah. It's a
number
great
number
list.
3, Fantasia for me. I like Fantasia. I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
I like Fantasia 2000.
Yeah, that got a
That's
high
on this
ranking.
list, but
Yeah.
way further down.
Yeah.
David, what stands out to you?
I mean, yeah, I had some issues with The Prince and the Frog. I also have some issues with
Okay.
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which is an all-time classic. He drew. I have much love for you, Joe. I appreciate what you've done here. This is a big list. It took a lot of time to write this. But man, you put like Winnie the Pooh, The Many Adventures, like 39. It was way up there, way too high. Then you have the new Winnie the Pooh, 2011, much lower. Right. And I just don't agree with that. But that's okay. That's just I love the old school Winnie the Pooh, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I love those stories. But I have to agree with you. Pinocchio is my favorite Disney movie of all time. Yeah. You know, I got no strings to hold me down, to make me fret or make me frown. There are no strings on me. So I love Pinocchio. It's one of my favorite stories. It's a dark story.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we should just do a little Pinocchio review right now. I mean, it's pretty heavy. I mean, he turns into a jackass. Spoiler warning. Spoiler alert. Spoiler. Sorry. I mean, it gets rough.
70 years spoiler.
70 years spoiler alert. So yeah, Pinocchio for me, it's a great list, Drew. Congratulations on putting this together.
Yeah, I have the ones that you have Aladdin 19 and Little Mermaid 18. I think those are a little low.
Yes. A
I
little
think they'd
low.
be high, yeah. And then Mulan, which I liked, is a little high. It's at number 12, along with
Mulan's all right,
Hunchback
yeah.
at 11. No, I like all these movies. It's just a little high on the list for me. Wendy and Sinead, what would you put in your kind of top 5 animated Disney movies?
I would put Beauty and the Beast at number 1. With The Little Mermaid at a close second, just because nostalgic. Like that was the one Disney movie that I really connected with because I was old enough to just really fall in love with it. And then I had everything in The Little Mermaid. I had shampoo, chapstick, pillows, sheets, towels, which I still have till this day. And I just bought myself an Ariel purse yesterday. So there you have it. I would put Pinocchio at 3. I would definitely not. I'm sorry. Fantasia tripped me out when I watched it when I was younger. I was like, what am I watching? The Chernobog really freaked me out. So that, I think, belongs in the top 10, but not in the top 5. I would put Lion King at 5, so I need something to fill number 4.
Aladdin.
Tangled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sinead, what about you?
Well, I would never be able to pick an order out of these, and
But what are the top ones that you would put up there?
my top ones would be Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Little Mermaid, Hercules, because Hercules will always be one of my top faves.
That's my girl.
And Tangled. The ones that really stood out to me, like the ones that made me like physically angry,
You got to read about Tangled.
was Tangled. I was like livid over Tangled. It's one of the best Disney movies ever.
Damn right.
Big Hero 6, like come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And then Hercules obviously was number 24, which is a crime to all of humanity. And the fact that Frozen was 22, and Frozen's not even in my top, but there's no way it was above Lilo and Stitch and Princess and the Frog, which by far was the worst Disney movie. When it came out, you can look 5 years in front and 5 years behind, and I still think it stands out as one of the absolute worst Disney movies. And then also like the Aristocats was number 42.
Yeah.
That's crazy
Or Great
to
Mouse
me.
Detective that far down, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
And then
forgot
I
about
also
that one,
wrote down Aladdin and Little Mermaid. I think that
I just don't know how they
would
come
be-
after. or
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rescuers
they're lower
Down
than
Under,
Princess
or
and
the
the Frog.
Rescuers, the first one, the original Rescuers. Yeah,
The
that's a good one.
Rescuers, yeah.
It's a good one too.
So yeah, this has been an interesting discussion, and just to let you
Let's
guys
keep going,
know,
let's keep going.
Yeah, the people are hoping we do a whole episode about
Number
this.
32.
But just as a little hint, we are doing something similar to this for a different genre, where we are counting down a top list, and you guys will see that sometime in October. All right, let's move on to Buy or Sell. Sinead, what do we got?
Focus Features has released a new trailer for Joe Wright's historical drama, Darkest Hour. Scripted by the Theory of Everything's Anthony McCartan, the film stars an unrecognizable Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill and begins on the eve of World War II, chronicling Churchill's difficult push to get England to stand up to Nazi Germany and enter the war rather than negotiate a treaty. The film also stars Kristen Scott Thomas, Lily James, and Ben Mendelsohn and opens in select cities on November 22nd. Perri, do you buy or sell the new trailer for Darkest Hour?
Buy it over and over and over again. This has quickly become one of my most anticipated movies of the rest of the year. Hearing the reaction that folks have had from seeing this on the festival circuit, and just seeing what we're seeing, because sometimes you hear about the reaction when it's screened at a festival. Maybe we don't have a trailer at that time, or maybe the trailer doesn't get that rise out of you you think it might. the fact that both of those things are happening, where it's so beloved, where it's played so far, and these trailers have me absolutely riveted. I am really pumped for this one, and I can't stop staring at him. It is freaking me out how little I could see Gary Oldman in what is in that picture right now. There is no doubt in my mind that if the Oscar buzz does hold strong and this winds up getting in a whole bunch of categories, that makeup has to get some honors there, because really, this photo behind me right now is the one shot in this trailer where I am able to see a little of Gary Oldman. Most of the other shots, I'm looking for it in his eyes so hard, and it's really hard to find. But this piece just has so much energy, and what really excites me about it is the fact that, one, it also feels like a Joe Wright film. There's certain shots in this that aren't traditional, I'm going to retell you a historical story shot right now. There's shots that have energy to them, the way the camera moves. And then it also feels like this is a trailer that's going to not just get people who want to look out for all the potential Academy Award nominees, or people who not blockbuster fare. This is something that's going to get everybody into it, whether you're into the history of it, whether you're into keeping up with awards potential, or whether you just want to see a good movie, because there is so much energy to this piece. I really couldn't be more excited.
David, as an expert on all things British, what did you think of this trailer?
Well, we have Joe Wright, of course, which is just incredible, because Joe Wright did the adaptation of Pride and Prejudice that I love so much from 2005 with the lovely, beautiful, gorgeous Keira Knightley. I cannot recommend this movie more. Definitely, it's a big thumbs up for me. I definitely buy this because it looks gorgeous. You have Gary Oldman, who is a chameleon, whether he's playing Dracula, in the Francis Ford Coppola movie, or he's in The Fifth Element. He's hard to recognize. Like, this picture is freaky. I can hear his voice. I can see some of his facial movements, but I don't see Gary Oldman though. And I think that's incredible because he's such a good actor. And also, too, watch Dunkirk. Because at the end of this trailer, I don't want to spoil Dunkirk for you, but there's a speech that is in Dunkirk. That's a very famous speech. Of course, you can look at it online. But it's in Dunkirk, and it's also in this movie. So I think it'd be great if you saw Dunkirk first, if you can see it if it's still in the theater, and then go see this after. I think the Dunkirk's definitely going to be a big player in this movie. So I think it's like perfect timing for this to come out.
Yeah.
Rocha?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, the trailer's fantastic. I buy it like crazy. I've been looking forward to this ever since the first image was released of him looking like Winston Churchill. I'm like, this is amazing. If they put the right film around him, then it'll really be incredible. And we see that. And we see that in every subsequent trailer. This trailer, even more so. They got into the Dunkirk story a bit more. You see a bit more about his relationship with his wife, played by Kristen Scott Thomas, who you can remember from English Patient and numerous other things. John Lithgow just won the Emmy for playing, and the Golden Globe and the SAG Award for playing Winston Churchill. So this is the time to bring Churchill to life, And as most of you know in the Schmodown, I'm a massive fan of biopics. This is essentially a biopic about his time at this time in his life. And Churchill, if you do the research on Churchill, what I like about this trailer too is they let you know that he wasn't necessarily the unanimous decision. He didn't go sweeping into office. He had made some mistakes as a politician. He had gotten in trouble. He had gotten this terrible reputation, but he was better during wartime than he ever was during peacetime. So we're going to see him at his best, but we're going to also hear about how his foibles and his flaws as a leader before he took on this mantle. And so I love that they're doing this. I love the Dunkirk stuff. And shout out to Scott Mance, who gets a little shout out in the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
With 4 stars, and Perry's right. Everyone's been talking about it, and last week I wanted to ask Frosty when he was here about his thoughts of The Darkest Hour, because he said it's also one of the ones he really likes. So I buy it like crazy. It's a good trailer. You get the pulsing action of the trailer, and that's what you want. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to buy it as well. With these type of films, when they do biopics or history films, it's always a concern that they're going to tread into more, like they want to make Oscar bait type movie, and you don't know if it's going to be cheesy or if it's actually going to be good, but all the buzz is leaning towards, oh no, this is actually a very good film. And then that is great for Joe Wright, whose I think last movie was Pan. Was that his last movie? Yeah. So that for me as a filmmaker, I'm kind of like hit and miss. Like, he did Atonement, which I actually was not a huge fan of. I actually liked Hannah. He did Anna Karenina, which I wasn't a fan of. I actually think his directing is very good. Some of the stories he chooses to tell. This seems like he's back on track, and then maybe he'll get some Oscar consideration as director.
Well, he also did direct that Black Mirror episode, so at least that can make us forget about Pan for a hot second. If you do want to read a review of The Darkest Hour, Adam Chitwood saw it at TIFF for Collider.com, and that review's up there now, so you can read it.
All right, what's next?
A new international trailer for Thor Ragnarok has been released online, showcasing some new footage specifically geared to the Chinese market overseas. In Thor Ragnarok, Thor is imprisoned on the other side of the universe without his mighty hammer and finds himself in a race against time to get back to Asgard to stop Ragnarok, the destruction of his home world at the hands of an all-powerful... Is it Hela?
Hela.
Hela
Good.
The film is directed by Taika Waititi and stars Chris Hemsworth, Kate Blanchett, Mark Ruffalo, Tom Hiddleston, Tessa Thompson, Jeff Goldblum, Carl Urban, Anthony Hopkins, and Idris Elba. Thor Ragnarok opens in theaters this November 3rd. David, do you buy or sell the new international trailer for Thor
I
Ragnarok?
always buy trailers where there's a lot of just good-looking people slow walking. Just slow walking. No, this looks incredible. I like how in the trailer, like Chris Hemsworth comes out and says it's been confirmed. I can't do an Australian accent.
It was close.
It's been confirmed it's coming to China. That's huge money in the box office. So I hope it does well over there. Also, too, I like how much Hela we get. It looks like there's a scene when you can see her shadow, and it looks like her helmet is moving, like it's like you can see there in that photo behind Perri, like the horns are kind of going closer together. Also, there's that great shot of like all the Valkyries coming after her, and she looks like she like tosses some sword up there or something. And then two, I love all the stuff with Hulk. We're going to get, it's basically going to be a buddy film. Like he's building the team. It's kind of got that Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it. But this is outside of Blade Runner first, Blade Runner 2049. I was going to say 39. 2049. Thor Ragnarok's my second most anticipated, even over Last Jedi. Like I'm excited to see Last Jedi, of course. I can't wait to see it. But I would say Blade Runner, Thor, then Last Jedi. So thumbs up for this one.
Well, there's two people on this table that have already seen
Blade
Blade
Runner
Runner 2049.
Must be nice.
That we have a review, a non-spoilers review up on the channel if you want to check it out. Rocha, what did you think about this trailer?
Oh man, super excited. I'm just super excited, and I was scared that we were going to get too much, like to ruin the movie, but. No, we got just a little bit of the new footage, enough to get you even more excited, as if that's possible for me. I agree with David. It's one of my most anticipated films of the fall year. So I can't wait. And this is the Thor movie we've been waiting for. I really think it's, people have had issues with the first two Thor movies. I like them, but I know it's not been warmly received by the Marvel fans or comic book superhero fans. But this is the one we've been waiting for. And you're right. We get more Kate Blanchett. We get more of what Hela is going to do, how powerful her presence is going to be in the film. And we get more with Tessa Thompson playing Valkyrie, who I can't wait to see what she does with the part. Slow walking. Listen, I would absolutely get into a gladiatorial contest with anybody for a chance to take Tessa Thompson out for a coffee or something. I like she's just incredibly fantastically talented actress, incredibly beautiful as well. So it's great to see her doing the work. And I love the buddy cop aspect. We get a little more of it, and Hulk, some more Hulk. I hope they laid that groundwork for a Hulk standalone film off what they're doing here with the Planet Hulk storyline. So all of it is playing well. It's just enough in the trailer to get you excited. And I love that scene where they're going through the portal and she punches Thor out of the portal. All of the imagery from the film gets you excited, and the song they choose to play, another 70s kind of riff song that they play in this trailer, also helps to put you in the vibe of what's going on. We know there's going to be a lot of battle sequences.
Yeah, I'm going to buy this as well. I mean, David mentioned that there's a little intro of Chris Hemsworth coming out and introduce, hey, that's a big deal because it is a huge market for them. And also, if people don't know this, like China only lets a certain amount of foreign movies into their market every year. So studios have to pitch why their movie is going to pitch / a little money. So he comes out there and announces, hey, this is officially coming to China. So for me, it's all about Hela in this one. Seeing her fight and just seeing how powerful she is. She looks badass. She maybe, we talk about Marvel villains and how we're disappointed by most of them. If Hela works out, we may have two of the best Marvel villains, MCU villains, in the same movie. We have Loki and Hela. And she looks badass. Perri, what do you think?
She does look great. I'm definitely buying this. I think I've hit the point in the promo campaign where I'm thinking enough, but I just mean enough new footage. They can recut the stuff that I've seen before and keep giving it to me in a new package, and I'm going to keep getting excited about it all over again. I just love the look of this film. I love the score, too. I can already tell that because the score is ingrained in my mind from the promotional campaign, that when I hear it in the actual film, there's going to be an added energy to it, and I'm really excited about that. really just the colors pop, all the characters, because there's a lot of characters that are being featured in these trailers, and I can already remember every single one and remember something specific and unique that I like about all of them. So I'm just really excited to see how it all comes together in the full feature. And did you guys see that behind the scenes, the featurette that they released yesterday?
Yes.
I did a This Just In video with Riley on it, and some of the stuff that Taika Waititi says in that, it sticks with you, where he respects what came before it. He wants to do something original. He wants you to have fun all the way through with this adventure. And the one plot point that he said in that's really ingrained in my mind right now is that Thor made the choice not to go take the throne back, that he went out on his own adventure. So now, even though I've seen a lot of this footage, I'm looking at it in a whole new way, and it's a really interesting way. So yeah, I'm counting down to this one also.
All right, what's next?
Lionsgate Premiere has released the first trailer for Gotti, starring John Travolta. Directed by Kevin Connolly, the film spans 3 decades and follows the rise and fall of crime boss John Gotti as he tried to build the Gambino crime family both during and between his stints in prison. The film hits theaters and VOD on December 15th and also stars Spencer LaFranco, Pruitt Taylor-Vince, Stacy Keach, Chris Mulkey, William DeMeo, and Kelly Preston. Rocha, do you buy or sell the first trailer for Gotti?
God, I wanted to start watching this, and I was already ready with my knives out to cut this thing to pieces, and I damn well enjoyed this trailer. I buy this trailer. I couldn't believe it. I was ready to make fun of Travolta a little bit, taking on a role like this, and he's one of the guys that I admire as an actor. I really enjoy that guy. I've met him. He's a very warm, nice guy. And damn if he doesn't bring that kind of menace to this part. I mean, we saw him do this a little bit in Pulp Fiction, so to see him come back and play a villain that isn't cheesy. He can be cheesy sometimes as a villain. When you see To Paris with Love, when you see him in Broken Arrow, he sometimes can go to his proclivities where he goes like, he does the twirling, mustache twirling, and there's no levels to it. But in this, there's a power to him playing this part. And I remember Armand Asante doing the HBO series or the HBO film on this, and I thought he was a great Gotti. This looks like a great attempt at bringing the life of Gotti. We get this whole thing with his kid, the whole thing with his wife, and she's pushing back when they interview her, and she's just like, he provides. And so we see him kind of, he's not overdoing it, and that's what I was afraid of. And, this is interesting. Kevin Connolly is the director. You recognize him from Entourage. He's E in Entourage. He's done 3 other features, and he did a really good sports documentary for the 30 for 30 series on the New York Islanders. Good actor, and seems like a decent director. Lem Dobbs is one of the writers, and if I've got this right here, Lem Dobbs has written some of the most interesting films that I've seen, with Dark City, The Score, The Limey, Haywire, which doesn't get enough love, the Soderbergh fantastic film with Gina Carano. So it's got a good team behind it. It's interesting that it's only going VOD. Maybe they don't think it could come out in the theaters and do well financially. But I'm excited to see it. So I buy this trailer. It's got the right pace. It's got a little Stacy Keach action. You got Sammy the Bull Gravano in there. So the story of Gotti is a very, very interesting story, and the fact they're bringing it to life with Travolta, I'm excited. I'm excited. I buy the trailer.
Oh, I'm going the other way. I'm selling this thing. I wanted to like it. Crime drama is my favorite genre. I don't know. Watching John Travolta in this role reminds me of when he did what was the lawyer's name? Shapiro in People versus OJ.
Robert
he just
Shapiro,
looked off. In this one, to me, he just looks off. I don't buy it. There's nothing new. This feels. Honestly, it feels like it's a made-for-TV movie. I wish I was more excited about it. Maybe if there's more buzz that comes out later, but I'm not excited for it, so I'm selling it. Perri?
I am with Dennis on this. Sorry, Rocha. This does not look very good to me, and I don't think it helps that we're talking about this trailer and the Darkest Hour trailer in the same show, because I mean, really, they're both based on true events. But if you look at the way that the Darkest Hour is cut together, it pieces together that story for someone who might not know much about Churchill in a really interesting, engaging way and an exciting way visually, like I said before. This, to me, feels so flat, and it just feels like this trailer is like, he did this, then this, then this, then this. We're going to throw it back. He's going to look really old. Then he's going to look really young. And I kind of lost track of everything. There was no real hook to make me think that they're doing something special with this material. And yeah, I was having a little bit of a hard time looking at Travolta also. Something just looks really off. And it's not just because I know what he looks like in real life and that they're putting makeup and prosthetics on him. It didn't really work for me.
David, where do you fall? You siding with Rocha, or you going with Team Dennis and Perri here?
I'm gonna go with Team Dennis and Perri.
Dang.
I'm gonna leave Roke on his own little island over there. I'm gonna sell this.
I'm Jon Snow
Maybe-
holding the sword. That's all right. I'll do
A
it.
few things I might want to change about this. I like Travolta, but maybe if they made this like a TV miniseries, or like a TV series in general, focusing on Gotti, that would be very interesting. Maybe cast someone different because Travolta is so recognizable. I thought he did a great job as Shapiro in People vs. O.J.
Yeah.
I know he's a great actor, but I think because recently Travolta's just, I don't know, he's Travolta. So I think it just kind of, it's I see Travolta more than I see Gotti, and that's not Travolta's fault, but it's just because he's so popular. Maybe more of an unknown actor might work better. But this is something I'd like to check out.
Yeah.
It's VOD. You're sitting at home on a Friday night. You get some pizza, some pasta, a little garlic bread, a little glass of wine, and then you watch Gotti. I mean, what better way to spend your Friday night?
Don't forget the cannoli. Never
Yeah,
forget
the
the cannoli.
cannoli. Exactly. Yeah, cannolis are good. It's good dessert.
All right, our last buy or sell. Sinead, what do we got?
In a new interview with Billboard, Danny Elfman offered up some new details from his Justice League score, including the fact that he's going back to some iconic DC character themes from previous films and implementing them in new ways, including using John Williams' iconic Superman theme, but spun in a different way. He said, "There are a few little fan moments. I instated a moment of the Wonder Woman theme that Hans Zimmer did for BVS, but I also had 2 minutes where I had the pleasure of saying, let's do John Williams' Superman, and that for me was heaven, because now I have a melody to twist, and I'm using it in an actually very dark way, in a dark moment. It's the kind of thing that some fans will notice. Some won't. It's a moment where we're really not sure whose side he's on." Dennis, do you buy or sell Elfman using a dark twist on John Williams' Superman theme in Justice League?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy this. I'm not sure if I read the report right, but he also talked about maybe using the Tim Burton Batman theme that he previously had done for this movie as well, and twisting that. I also like what he said about these classic themes and that when they reboot franchises and reboot series like a Superman or a Batman, that you don't necessarily have to get rid of the old themes. He mentioned Star Wars. He said Star Wars is the most beloved theme of all time. They don't get rid of that theme during the prequels or even the new movies. So why do you have to get rid of the ones for the iconic superheroes that we have? David?
I buy this as well because I'll mention Star Trek, the new Star Trek series that's out on CBS All Access. The new score, it's good, but every now and then they'll throw in a little bit of that old classic Star Trek, which I love, because I don't think they need to do everything from the original series, but if you throw a little bit of that in there over some good new classical music, I think that can work wonders, because Danny Elfman can go dark. I know we think of him as like like kind of poppy, but because of the original Batman score in 1989, we know he can go dark. So I think he's going to do a good job with the score. I trust him.
Perri?
Big buy for me as well. I loved some of these quotes, and specifically when he says that we've got these iconic bits from our past, and that's part of us, that's part of our heritage. We shouldn't run away from that. I mean, really, that's why we have continuing franchises and cinematic universes, and the fact that we can build on what's established before, whether we're talking about characters and story or we're talking about a popular theme, because when you take a theme that you know so well and you warp it in any which direction, just the slightest way, that could completely change the feeling when you see something. And I think that's something they should feel comfortable using if they have that opportunity. So the thought of him changing the score in that way, it's really exciting to me. And going off what you said, a perfect example, now that we could talk about it, is the use of the Blade Runner score. That was hands down one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it can make you think of the original and put you in that space, but also do things that are so different where they change it in certain ways to enhance what you're seeing on screen. That's what we should see more often. If we're going to continue franchises, let's use what was done so well in those to enhance the new thing.
Rocha?
Yeah, I like this idea. I buy this idea of Danny Elfman coming in. I'm sure DC was a little bit like, don't say dark in the interview, but like he's going to speak his truth and speak about what he put in. I like that he's also, great composers do this really well. They blend the old music into the new music and make you feel, because the reason you love the old music is it reminds you of that time when you enjoyed
Batman
that
the animated
movie.
series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he talks about Batman in one of his quotes
Yeah.
where he's being asked to Batman the shit out of something. And so I love that. And Danny is such a great composer on so many different projects. So I enjoy these coming back to bring this kind of element to the film. And, there's been a lot of intrigue and behind the door stuff with Justice League and background stuff, so it's nice to have someone like Danny Elfman coming out to the front being like, I'm doing all this incredible work on this. And he's talked about creating motifs for Flash, for Cyborg, for Aquaman. So he's really putting his handprints on this, and I'm excited to see what this theme's going to sound like, because I love the Man of Steel theme. I love the Superman theme. So any way he can mix in stuff that I already know and enjoy, I'm so for it.
Cool. All right, guys, before we move on to mailbag, I remind you that we had a new Jedi Council that dropped yesterday. Today, we're going to have a brand new Schmodown. Also, Awesome Tackler drops on Go 90. Also, next week, we're all going to be here. All of us are going to be at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
You can check out a bunch of things that we have going on there. We have Collider Heroes live panel on Friday, October 6th, from 12:15 to 1:15 in room 1A24. We also have a movie talk panel on Saturday. That's October 7th, 4:15 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. room 1A21. Also, if you can't make it to New York, we actually will be live streaming a bunch of the panels, including Pacific Rim, The Walking Dead, and a bunch of other stuff. Also, we will be having a meet and greet on Thursday night. So even if you don't have Comic-Con tickets, you can come out and check us out. I forgot the name of the bar.
McSwiggin.
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 McSwiggin. I think it's 8:30 to 9:30, 8:30
yeah, I think
to
so.
10.
Come to Michigan.
We'll have more details. I think I'll make like a Facebook invite, post it on Twitter, and all that stuff. All right, what do we have up for a mailbag?
Matthias writes, "Hi Collider, greetings from Argentina. I discovered you and the Schmoes back in 2014, and you've changed my life. I threw out my TV like at the end of Poltergeist, and your channel is now my main source of entertainment. Anyway, I was just wanting to know what are for you the best movies that started as a copy from another successful movie. Movies that copy the style or formula from another big movie, something that happens often, but it ended up being really successful too. Like Friday the 13th from Halloween, or Halloween from Black Christmas for that matter. Thank you so much for reading my email."
Perri, what are some movies that you found to be pretty good that actually copy, not just inspired, but copy other? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about straightforward copying, but naturally my mind went to genre, and one of my favorite things is the found footage craze that Blair Witch sparked. And I know that some folks tried to copy that in a really bad way, but other movies, I think, found a lot of success with it. And after Blair Witch, we got things like Paranormal Activity, which I think was a really fun spin on that format. We also got things that don't fall into the straight, I was about to just naturally say genre, but really trying to say horror category, like Cloverfield or like Chronicle. So that's probably not exactly what this question is asking, because they weren't just copy and paste jobs. That's what it should be, where you take a cue from a successful movie in the past and then you put your own little touch on it and then you build on it that way. So that's just how it excites me with that stuff.
Rocha?
Geez, this is a really tough question. It's tough to, what influences what? How far back do you want to go? Are you aware of enough film history to see where the influences are? For me, it's always going to be Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane like influenced Rashomon. Like that whole idea of going back, an incident being told from all these different perspectives, right? Citizen Kane is all about, if you notice in Citizen Kane, he never actually speaks except for one word at the beginning of the film, and that is Rosebud. Everything else is done through everyone else's remembrance of him. So Charles Foster Kane never actually speaks for himself at all ever in the film. Everything is through everyone else's perspective. When you look at Rashomon, one of Kurosawa's most incredible films, same thing. This incident occurs, and it's all being told by the two people who were in the incident, but you don't know who is telling the truth about what happened, because it's all about perspective and who can tell your story. And so we see this going on, and I think it influenced Pulp Fiction to a degree as well. All these different out of time stories being told in a certain way from different perspectives to get to this situation. And so for me, those are the things that I really enjoy seeing narratively when that occurs.
David?
I think one of more popular ones, more recent ones, I guess, in the last 10 years or so, is like, Internal Affairs versus The Departed.
Yeah.
That was, but I mean, copying or mimicking or borrowing is like, they always say, like, the best form of flattery. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you see something that you like and you respect and admire, like Dennis, I'm sure, like, if you're making a film or something, I know Scorsese is one of your favorite directors. I'm sure when you're making something, you have Dennis Zen, this is my mind, this is my story. But maybe with something from Scorsese, you might think, like, I like that shot that he used. Maybe I could use a shot like that. And I know Scorsese has people that he looks up to, and there's a shot that somebody else used that he looked up to that he used. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's a form of flattery and a form of learning from the best. You see it in basketball and football and sports. You mimic your favorite players because they're good at something they do. So for me, that's one of them. Also, The Matrix borrowed a lot of ideas from manga and Japanese animation. For American film, it was like, well, it's something new, but in other parts of the world, it's like, oh, we've seen things like that before. I think it's a good thing.
Or Lethal Weapon, 48 Hours, influencing the buddy cop film.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
there really wasn't a buddy cop. There were buddy stuff with Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, but there wasn't buddy cop films until Lethal Weapon, until 48 Hours. Those are the ones that really, like, launched all this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times directors and filmmakers, they copy more scenes and film techniques. I mean, the master of that is Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
He'll take a lot of, he's like the DJ. He takes a lot of bits from different things and then he mashes them up together. But for his specific question of a movie that, like, I feel like was really, like, followed the formula of another one was Boogie Nights. It really copied Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you look at the tone, the camera moves, even that opening tracking shot is straight Goodfellas, just a different subject matter, but everything about that is very similar. And it was done very well. I mean, that's what he's asking. There's sometimes, David, you said, copying is imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. If it's done well, you can appreciate it. But if it's not done well, that's when everyone kind of jumps on you. All right, that's it for a mailbag. Now we're going to move on to our live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at Collider Video, and Wendy will pick out a few. Wendy, what do we got?
The first one comes from Nebula, and she needs our help. Can't decide what to see. Blade Runner 2049. I didn't see the first one, but I love the trailers. Or It.
Oh, wow. I'm going to throw that to
Perri's
Perri.
going.
Yeah.
No, Perri's going.
Yeah, I'll throw that to Perri because I know her answer.
Yeah, clearly I'm a little uncomfortable answering this, but I have to go with It. And I understand how passionate some people are about Blade Runner 2049, and really, the only thing I could say to that is I wanted to have the same reaction that certain people who really loved the original had to it. I can look at Blade Runner 2049. It is a freaking fantastic cinematic experience. It's beautiful, and technically it is flawless, but I do think that having only liked the original Blade Runner and only liking it after I discovered the final cut, I think that's one of the main reasons why I liked but did not love Blade Runner 2049. But again, I am one person, and how I reacted to Blade Runner in the past no doubt influenced how I felt about the new film to a degree. So I think you need to assess for yourself whether or not you want to experience that without having seen the original. But it was something special for me. I grew up watching the 90s version over and over, and I think that the new movie improves upon that, and it captures the book, which I just read and I loved, in the way that I wanted to. I think that's a special movie that no doubt is going to wind up in the top tier of my movies when I start listing things out for the year, so I have to go It.
I take it Rocha has a different answer for
Well,
this.
no, not necessarily, because Nebula has some issues to work out with Gamora, and when you see It, that is about working out these, coming back together as friends to fight an evil, and they're going to do that with Thanos. So that's where you want to go, Nebula. I absolutely recommend you doing that, but only because you haven't seen the first Blade Runner. I really believe that you need to see the first Blade Runner to really absolutely savor and appreciate Blade Runner 2049 fully. You can still enjoy the film on its own, absolutely. Denis directed a fantastic film, but if you've seen the first Blade Runner and you love the first Blade Runner, this is for you. And so I would say, because you haven't seen the first one, I would recommend go seeing It. You can catch Blade, and because it's been out for a while, you can catch Blade Runner 2049 and watch the first film over the weekend instead, and then go watch it next week.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah, I was saying with Rocha. I think go see It first. Won't be that big of a crowd because it's been out for a while, even though it's still doing really well. Then watch Blade Runner, the original, watch the final cut, and then after that, then go see Blade Runner 2049.
All right. Well, I will pick a side. I will just say Blade Runner 2049 just because the horror is not really my genre. Sci-fi I love, and also Denis Villeneuve is a fantastic director, and I love his body of work. So I would be more anticipatory for that. All right. What's next?
Okay, this next one comes from Bob Gray, who writes, with Oscar movie season upon us, would you still have Logan as one of the 10 nominations for Best Picture at this point?
For me, definitely.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's one of the best movies of the year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not the Academy is going to be able to overlook that it's a comic book movie, we'll see. What about you guys?
Without a doubt. I'm so happy to get an easy question next. Yeah, really, Logan is still up there for me. I've watched that so many times this year, and it really never wavers at all. I still get that rise out of it that I absolutely love. I think it's a fantastic film, and I really do hope it's recognized one way or the other come award season.
To me, it correlates to Mad Max Fury Road. That was a great film from last year that you deserved an Oscar nomination. Logan, no matter what films come out this year, deserves an Oscar nomination. It's fantastic, and once again, transcends that superhero genre in a way we didn't anticipate.
Yeah,
David?
it's incredible. Definitely, it's like probably top 5 of the year for me for sure.
All right. Right. Let's do one more.
Okay, this isn't really a question, but I feel like I need to read it out loud. It's like more of a comment. Italio Nasa writes, spoke of the score of all the topics and did not talk about the music in the trailer of The Darkest Hours, Reign of Castamere. WTF! Exclamation point.
Oh.
Yes, I wrote that in my notes and I forgot to talk about it because when I was listening to it, it sounds like kind of like an altered version of Reigns of Castamere because it gets into the theme. Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, that's the Lannister theme song from Game of Thrones. It's very famous. Game of Thrones, the theme song is the most popular, and Reigns of Castamere is right below that. And it was weird watching the trailer and hearing that throughout.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that and listen for it. I mean, really, that's not where my mind went, maybe because I was so riveted by what I was seeing. But I want to hear that and see how they use that.
It's not the exact version,
It's
but
similar.
It's like I almost thought like, did someone like just copy Reigns of Castamere and then just change it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear it. So I was so focused on Oldman just like trying to hear his voice and everything, and I missed it. Yeah.
I just think I heard it and understood it, and it fit the trailer, so I just moved past it. Like it just was like makes sense. That's good, perfect. Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of Collider Movie Talk. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank the people joining us at the table. Perry, where can people find you?
You guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at @PNemroff. Of course, Collider Behind the Scenes and Bloopers is coming at you Saturday, 2 p.m. PST. It's all about our Back to the Future screening, which was a blast. So if you wanted to see what that was like and you couldn't make it, watch that episode. And also, please keep an eye out for my Flatliners review coming later today because I'm about to sacrifice myself to that screening, and I would appreciate if people watched it. So watch out for that.
Rocha.
You guys can find me at the Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, TV Talk at 11 o'clock live today with this man here, David Griffin. Kaboom! And the lovely Sinead as well. All live at 11 a.m. here. I'll be hosting for the next 3 weeks while Makuga's becoming an honest man. Also today, new Cinephiles dropped on iTunes, Cine-Files. We talk about Doctor Strangelove because nuclear stuff is happening in the world. So we thought it'd be a perfect one to tackle. There we go.
David?
Yeah, I'll be on, like you said, I'll be on TV Talk after this. Yeah, a little bit later. 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check that out. Also on Instagram and Twitter at GriffinDE.
Wendy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney, and I will be at New York Comic Con next week.
And Sinead, where can people find you?
I will be on TV Talk in just a little bit, and then I'm gonna go get not married. I'm not getting married. I'm gonna go watch Josh get married this weekend. So I will post tons of stuff from their wedding as well, so you guys can all see. I'm super excited for them. And then there's no show next week, so I guess I'll see you guys in like 2 weeks.
Oh, girl, you're working next week.
We'll see about that. Just kidding. Oh my God, Wendy, I'm just joking.
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, Dennis.tzeng. Thanks to Adam and the Cody in the back. And also the Cody.
Cody
There's a lot of Codys.
Hello.
That's the Cody. Also, a reminder, we have that Blade Runner 2049 non-spoilers review that Rocha and Perri did. And we're also going to have a spoilers review up next week. We're going to be in Comic-Con next week for the most of the time, so make sure you keep to this channel so you can watch all of those cool panels. See you next time.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.